We are very proud to be celebrating Arlington's Veterans Day ceremony here in Veterans Park for the 13th consecutive year. We are here to give a sincere thank you to everyone who has served our nation in the uniformed services. Today we are delighted that Congressman Ron Wright is with us, our own Mayor Jeff Williams, Jim Connors of the National Medal of Honor Museum Foundation, and the Vice Commander of 10th Air Force, Colonel Dean Snigowski, as featured speaker. Following the ceremony, we offer a boxed lunch. We are honored to have a number of dignitaries with us today and guests. Please hold your applause until I have gone through the names. We especially appreciate all members of our Arlington City Council who provide us with the use of this beautiful park dedicated to Arlington's veterans. This park is in District 4 of the city. We're pleased to have with us today, representing District 2, Sherry Capar. You've already seen Marvin Sutton, who represents District 3. He is an Air Force veteran, as previously mentioned. And representing District 7 is Deputy Mayor Pro Tempore, Dr. Victoria Farermeyer. Please give a round of applause to our City Council. Also, we want to acknowledge Trey Yelverton, City Manager, Jim Paragon, Deputy City Manager, and all of the people in the City of Arlington staff who provide us support throughout the year and for this day. We have state and federal elected officials here today too. Congressman Ron Wright of the Texas 6th District, State Representative Tony Tenderhold, House District 94, and State Representative Bill Zettler. Please give everyone a round of applause. As I said, we're honored to have Mayor Jeff Williams with us today. He was elected mayor in May 2015 after decades of public service in Arlington. A graduate of Texas Tech University with a degree in civil engineering, Williams was inducted into the university's Civil Engineering Academy of Engineering Excellence. More than 3 decades ago, Jeff and his wife Karen picked Arlington over other North Texas communities to raise their family. We're so glad they did. Please welcome Arlington Mayor Jeff Williams.
Thank you. Well, welcome to Arlington, Texas. The city is known as a veteran-friendly city. In fact, one of the best. And we are home to the best university for veterans as per Military Times, the University of Texas at Arlington. In addition to that, we are the future home of the National Medal of Honor Museum. And that is a real treat. Yes, it deserves an applause. I've got to share with you, when the announcement was made, General Brady, one of the National Medal of Honor recipients, said that the defining factor in why they were coming to build this world-class national museum was because of the heart of the people, the spirit here, because they needed a place that could be a beacon of courage and patriotism and dedication for this entire country, and not just the country, the entire world, as we have visitors from all over that will be coming to this world-class museum that will then be telling this, the inspiring stories of these National Medal of Honor recipients. And not only the stories of what they did when they were serving in the military, but what they are doing after, because they have given their lives to continue that important story of talking about the importance of character, integrity, sacrifice, dedication, commitment. All things, all traits that we citizens here in Arlington cherish and understand. And in addition to that, there is going to be opportunity, of course, for our veterans to be honored there in this museum and our first responders. What great wisdom. And you're going to be hearing from Mr. Jim Connors, the CEO of the National Medal of Honor Museum, because we have an added duty now to our country and to our fellow citizens in being the home of this great museum. Now, today, it is definitely a time for us to remember those veterans and how they served throughout the ages. So many of the past that we have lost, but now we have those that are still here too. The opportunity to honor each one of you and to remember the sacrifice that you have made, and also the sacrifice that your families have made so that you could serve. And then in addition to that, isn't it awesome when we see our brothers and sisters from Vietnam who have moved here, that fought alongside us, that now stand beside us to make Arlington a better place? It's symbolic of the 100 different countries that citizens represent here in Arlington. Let us work together. Let us show love and kindness, and let us understand the importance of freedom and the sacrifice that it is. But let us continue to work together with each one of our citizens to make Arlington, to make the state of Texas, and to make our country continue to be great and to be even better as we move forward in the days ahead, so that our future generations will know the importance here of what has been accomplished by our veterans in the past years. Well, we look forward to the future. Better days are ahead. And I tell you, it was inspiring to me to walk here and see Congressman Ron Wright, who has done so many different things for our city, beginning as a council member and now as a newly reelected congressman. And here's another inspiring story for you. Congressman Ron Wright led the effort so that we could have the National Medal of Honor Monument in Washington, D.C., the enthusiasm that he showed, and then also the real example, because he reached across the aisle. This wasn't just a Republican issue. This was one in which Democrats, Republicans, all people came together. And I am looking forward to how this unifying is going to be here with the National Medal of Honor Museum. But there is now going to be a monument in Washington, D.C. that is going to point people right here to this museum in Arlington. And thank you, Congressman Wright, for all you did to make that happen. Well, we look forward to many more great days here in Arlington, and isn't God smiling on us today with this beautiful weather? And let God continue to bless you and your families in Arlington, Texas. Thank you very much.
Congressman Ron Wright is a sixth-generation resident of Tarrant County who represents the 6th District of Texas. He currently serves on the House Committee on Foreign Affairs, and as Mayor Williams said, has just been reelected. An alumnus of UT Arlington, Congressman Wright has been active in city, county, and civic leadership positions for decades. Ron has been honored with numerous civic leadership awards, such as Volunteer of the Year and Man of the Year for community service. He and his wife Susan have 3 children and 9 grandchildren. They live in Arlington, Texas, with their 2 labs, Belle and Bee. It's my privilege to help you welcome Congressman Ron Wright.
Let's have Joel. Very good. Thank you. Thank you for coming today. This is a great moment. And Mayor, I agree with you. Surely God is smiling down on Arlington today. And I pray he will continue to do that in the days to come. We started a tradition last year where there's a special commendation for veterans that is given by members of Congress. And It had not been given in Arlington before, and I'm not criticizing any of my predecessors. Okay, maybe I am a little bit. But he and I are friends, so it's okay. Anyway, we started this last year. It's a Veterans Commendation Medal, and it's for those veterans who did more than just serve their country in uniform. They came back as veterans and continued to serve their country, continued to serve their community. And that's what makes this particular commendation a little special. And I want to point out that the very first commendation given last year was the City Councilman Marvin Sutton. He's right over here. But we have some very special people to whom I'm going to give this commendation this year. And what I'd like is I'm going to call your name, and if you would come up, we have two things to give you. One is the commendation itself, and the other, and those of you in the military will certainly know what this is. We have, this started in the military, and it's a coin. And basically the way it works, and some of our veterans here could explain it a lot better than I can, but basically let's say you go to some nice restaurant like McDonald's, and there's several of you there. Well, everybody puts down their coin that has their rank. And if you outrank the person with you, they have to buy your Coke or your Dr. Pepper. Or if you're in Dallas, you might want something a little stronger. And so I'm going to present the commendation and the challenge coin. And that's what it's called, the challenge coin, because you're challenging other people there to see if they outrank you with their coin. And it's really a neat kind of thing. So mine has United States Congressman on it. Now, I'll tell you that, yes, the President of the United States does outrank me. At least he thinks he does. And but when I call your name, if you'll please come up, my Deputy Chief of Staff, Andy Nguyen, who all of you know as the former County Commissioner, is also a veteran. And he's gonna help me make this presentation. So the first is a very special person to all of us, and especially to the Wright House, and that is State Representative Bill Zedler. Bill, if you'd come up. Representative Zedler served in the United States Army during his military career. He earned the rank of First Lieutenant. Serving as a hospital personnel officer, he was awarded the Army Commendation Medal, a little different from my Commendation Medal, during a tour of Vietnam in 1967. Following his service, Representative Zedler has been a member of and volunteered for various boards throughout Arlington, including the Arlington Pregnancy Center, is an elder at Park Springs Bible Church, and has been a member of several clubs, including the Arlington Kiwanis Club, as well as the local chambers of commerce. Representative Zedler has a distinguished career as a state representative for House District 96 since 2002, and will retire this year in December of 2020, and we're going to miss you.
Thank you.
I'm going to bump their fists because I'm politically correct today. And thank you very much. Thank you. And you can be seated. The next recipient is equally special, and that is State Representative Tony Tenderhold. Tony served in the United States Air Force in 1988 as Spanish cryptologist, linguistic, monitoring South and Central America. You didn't think I could pronounce that, did you? See, I've been practicing. Okay. He later rejoined the service after the events of 9/11. This time as a major in the United States Army. He worked as a platoon leader, executive officer, detachment commander, and recruitment officer. Representative Tenderhold served multiple tours and received the Bronze Star and the Combat Action Badge. Tony Tenderhold has served as a Texas state representative for House District 94. By the way, he's my state representative since 2015. I don't know where's that? Oh, there it is. Okay. Next is a gentleman I have known for, gosh, at least 25 years. He is one of the most distinguished jurists in the state of Texas, and that's Judge Louis Stearns. Judge, if you'd come up. He's a retired state district judge, served as a captain in the United States Army, and became a judge advocate general corps from 1973 to 1976. After his service, Judge Stearns served on the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals for Tarrant County and served as the county judge of the 213th Court. Has also served on the Texas Department of Public Safety Commission, the Texas Ethics Commission, and the Trinity River Authority Board of Directors. During his distinguished career, he held the position as president of the Fort Worth Black Bar Association and the Tarrant County Bar Association. Judge Stearns is also a founding member of the Fort Worth Metropolitan Black Chamber of Commerce.
Thank you very much, Congressman.
Okay, let's. Okay. Thank you. All right. Okay. All right. Chris Pettit, you'd come up, Chris. Chris Pettit. There he is. Chris served in the Marine Corps as a sergeant from 1999 to 2003. Mr. Pettit served as a muckster with the 1st Service Support Group headquarters and Service Battalion in California. Then he served on the board of the USS Boxer with the 11th Marine Expeditionary Unit as a radio operator in Kuwait. Following the events of 9/11, Mr. Pettit served in Operation Iraqi Freedom. After his service, Mr. Pettit was one of the founders of the Arlington Heroes Parade. Mr. Pettit is also a member of the Great Southwest Rotary, Arlington Field of Honor Committee, the United Way of Tarrant County Steering Committee, and the Arlington Elks. He is currently serving on the board of directors for Leadership Arlington, is president of the Arlington 4th of July Association, and is commander of the Great Southwest Veterans of Foreign Wars Post 8561. Thank you for your service. Mr. Jim Quick, if you'd come up. Jim Quick, oh, snuck up on me. All right, Mr. Quick is a retired colonel of the U.S. Air Force. During his career, he spent time at the Pentagon and throughout the United States. Mr. Quick has worked with various organizations throughout Arlington since his retirement in 2000. Some of those organizations include the Rotary Club with 33 years, of perfect attendance. See if anybody can match that. Director of the Arlington Veterans Park Foundation, volunteer on the Arlington Transportation Advisory Committee, the American Heart Association, Cross Timbers Boy Scouts, and with his church. Got it? All right, and Jim Runtimer. I have known Jim Runtimer, let's put it this way, we both had dark hair. Isn't that right? Oh, you're over here. Anyway, I've known Jim a long time. He's an attorney here in town. He served as an infantry officer from 1967 to 1971 in the United States Army. Was promoted to captain and served in the Special Forces in Germany and Greece. Mr. Runtimer is the director of the Arlington Veterans Park Association, has been the coordinator for the Arlington Veterans Observance Ceremony for the last 12 years. Mr. Runtimer has also helped the veterans community start businesses with the organization Boots to Business and has volunteered with the Small Business Administration to help local businesses.
Not yet, Jim.
Okay. We also have one going to Rick Walters, but he is not in attendance today. We'll get this to him as soon as we can. And with that,
That's one.
oh, we have one
Who's
more.
not in attendance.
And Richard Agamelian also is not in attendance, but I want to say a couple of words about Richard. Richard's actually in Fort Worth, but when you go into City Hall Plaza, you'll see a statue of Arlington's Medal of Honor recipient, Colonel Neil Kirby. That statue is there because of Richard Agamelian. Richard and Cleet McAllister, well, first let me go back a little bit and pay a little homage to the Arlington Historical Society, Geraldine Mills in particular, because they put on what, to me, is still one of the best and most thorough displays of Arlington history and military history that I've ever seen. And there was there in the display case a book about, it's called Kirby's Thunderbolts. And anyway, I won't go into Neil Kirby himself because it's a very long story, although it is a fabulous story, and I invite all of you to Google him, Colonel Neil Kirby. But he was a product of Arlington, Texas, and graduated from Arlington High School from what is now UTA, and then finished up down at the University of Texas in Austin. We don't hold that against him. But he pioneered the combat tactics for the P-51 Thunderbolt in World War II and made it one of the most lethal machines in the United States Army Air Force arsenal. And he did some absolutely unbelievable things with that fighter and was awarded the Medal of Honor for combat in the Pacific. In fact, at the time he was shot down, he was tied for the record of number of enemy kills in the Pacific theater and was awarded the Medal of Honor by General Douglas MacArthur. Again, I invite you to look him up. His is one of the most inspiring stories you'll ever read of any officer in what was then the United States Air Force. So anyway, Cleet and Richard went to school together at Arlington High School, and they found out about Neil Kirby. They wanted to honor him. They didn't know what the possibilities were in terms of how to honor somebody, but obviously they wanted to do something really grand because this was the only Medal of Honor recipient from Arlington, Texas. Thank you. I have some agreement over here to the east. So they came to see me, and I was on city council at the time, and I threw out some ideas, well, we could do this, we could do that, we could name a street, we could, all kinds of things. And his response was, well, let's do all of them. And that's what we did. We did all of them. And one of them was a statue. And we raised money and got the statue built. And with the help of the Arlington City Council at the time, they were very supportive. We got it set. And I want to point out that, originally it was across the street in what was then the library, the west lawn of the library. And it was a beautiful site. And all the engineering that was done for that monument, it had to be engineered. And all of that was done by our mayor and donated to the city of Arlington. So I want everybody to know that while his name isn't there, Mayor Williams had a whole lot to do with that statue of Neil Kirby being where it is and looking the way it does. So thank you, Jeff, for that. Anyway, when you see Richard, thank him, because he's one of these kind of silent, unsung hero types that doesn't want a lot of fanfare, just goes through life doing good things. And so thank him the next time you see him. And with that, I'm done. Thank you all very much.
My name is Clete McAllister, and I want to make it easy for you to do what Congressman Wright told you to do, which is to look up Neil Kirby. On the back of the program, there's a QR code. I'm not sure what the Q and R stands for, but if you'll scan that with your smartphone, it will take you to a wonderful YouTube video that tells the story of Neil Kirby. So please do that. If not, you can search for it. I think it would be something like small town boy, national hero, or something like that. But it's a wonderful video that you'll enjoy. Well, my part in the program is to recognize a special group of veterans, Rotarians, and others who made this location possible, this ceremony possible. And I'm talking about those who created, nurtured the Arlington Veterans Park Foundation and made the current and planned memorials here possible. Now, today's our 13th Veterans Day ceremony. 11 of them have been right here. Twice we were rained out. The other 11 were right here. Before that, Jim Persons lived nearby, and he observed that there was no flagpole in Veterans Park. So being a retired Marine aviator, Lieutenant Colonel Persons set out to correct that oversight. He got together with some other members of the Great Southwest Rotary Club like Albert Ross and Colonel Jim Quick, Jim Runtimer, Mike Love, Brian Cotter, the Badgetts. I'm trying to look around and see members of that club. But they got together and sat down and started planning. And this is what we came with. We've never had these ceremonies except to recognize Colonel Persons and his widow, Sherry. And Sherry's with us today, as she always is. So please recognize Sherry with a round of applause. Thanks for all your support, Sherry. When Jim passed, Albert Ross took over the reins of the foundation, and Albert worked with Dr. Hung Dang and all the other members of the Heroes of South Vietnam Memorial Foundation. And they raised money to complete the beautiful Vietnam memorial that we have here. I've been looking for Albert Ross's brother, Hugh. I don't see him, but I hope he's listening in. And if he is, please give him a round of applause. Now, we've had to modify our plans a little bit for various reasons. One is the original plans didn't foresee the Vietnamese memorial. So I hope before you leave today, you'll take note of a couple of things. First, the Korean War Veterans Association has planned a memorial to be right here on this location, and they're raising money for that now. So we've modified our plans, and before you leave, I hope you'll take a look at the drawings that they're over here to your right. This is what we hope to achieve. And once we do that, we'll have the kind of memorial that's fitting a city like Arlington. So that's our goal. I hope you'll help us. We do a couple of fundraisers. One is the Arlington Field of Honor, which we do around 9/11. We also do the Arlington Heroes Run, which we've been doing at Veterans Day, but we've decided to move that also to the week surrounding 9/11. So those two events are our fundraisers, and I hope you'll support them. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Cleet. Please also welcome District 8, represented by Councilwoman Dr. Barbara Odom Wesley, who slipped in on us. And now it's my privilege to introduce you to Jim Connors, the Chief Operating Officer of the National Medal of Honor Museum Foundation, and turn the program over to him.
Thank you so much. It's wonderful to be here. We're very, very proud to be here in Arlington. We consider it our home now for about a year, and we're making just tremendous progress. I also would like to thank Congressman Wright for the incredible support he and some of his colleagues have put forth in order for us to have a monument in Washington, D.C. That level of support has just been pivotal. And we understand that the legislation, which, as he mentioned, is bipartisan, is poised and ready to move in the next couple of months and to be signed into law before the end of the year. I'd also like to point out just how welcoming the city of Arlington has been to the National Medal of Honor Museum and the project that we are planning to build in the Sports and Entertainment District. Mayor Williams and his entire office have just done provided amazing amount of support for us, and literally we wouldn't be where we stand today if it wasn't for that. So thank you, Mayor Williams. So, this event here today is yet another amazing example of what we're reminded of every single day, which is that we made the right choice in selecting Arlington as our home. As Mayor Williams mentioned, we had a multi-city search, and when it came down to the final two cities, it was basically, there was no match, there was no comparison. And the number one reason was the level of patriotism and support for the project that we saw and could feel as we were making and judging our decisions. So I just wanted to say that, we are going to be talking and educating the youth and the citizens of this city and this country about the amazing stories of Medal of Honor recipients, those who put service over self in the heat of the moment. And if you ask any Medal of Honor recipient, the ones I've spoken to, we have 5 that are on our board, everyone will say that the honor, the medal really belongs not to them, but to the entire military establishment that was surrounding them, both on the day and, in the work that they were doing. So it really, in a very true sense, our museum will be a place where all veterans will be recognized, will be welcome, and we hope will be part of the programs and the activities that we have year in and year out, well into the future. So thank you very much for having us. It's an honor to be here today. God bless Arlington, and God bless America. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jim. Our keynote speaker is Colonel Dean Snigowski, Vice Commander, 10th Air Force Reserve Command. You have his brief bio included in your program, a snapshot of his 17 assignments over 25 years, and his command and combat assignments. If you're a veteran, you may be reading his ribbons. In addition, you can see that he wears a chestful. And those senior ribbons include the Legion of Merit, Meritorious Service Medal with 2 oak leaf clusters, an Air Medal, an Aerial Achievement Medal, and an Air Force Commendation Medal. Please welcome the Vice Commander, 10th Air Force.
Thank you. Good morning. It is truly a pleasure to come out and speak to you on this very important day. Today we set aside to remember and celebrate veterans, men and women of uncommon valor and shared purpose, to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States. The term veteran describes a person who served in land, naval, or air service, and who is discharged or released from the service under general or honorable conditions. A simple definition for a complicated experience. People refer to a veteran as somebody who has been on the job for a few years, or a player who has experienced a few years of games. The military veteran is much more than that. They carry the scars, both mental and physical, of preparing for war, being constantly vigilant, and doing the thing they hope never happens, fighting in a war. They, unlike any other profession, take an oath to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. A lifelong devotion to freedom that makes them unique. Our history is filled with their brave actions and quiet courage. Today we honor all who have donned the uniform in service to our country. And we thank those veterans who continue to serve. I have the privilege of serving as the Vice Commander of 10th Air Force under Air Force Reserve Command. I'd like to take some time to talk about the impact air power had on World War II as we celebrate the 75th anniversary of the end of the war. Prior to coming to 10th Air Force, I was the commander of the 310th Space Wing, which traces its roots back to the 310th Bombardment Group. As a navigator on B-52s, I have a special place in my heart for the bombers that helped shape the course of World War II. The 310th Bomb Group operated out of Northern Africa early in World War II, attacking aerodromes, landing grounds, and gun emplacements in Italy. They supported the invasion of southern France and struck German communications to aid the Allies as they marched forward to defeat the Axis powers. Their bombing campaigns shaped the battlefield for friendly forces to move forward. They cut off communication lines to prevent the flow of information to rear commanders to the troops of the front line. The 310th Bombardment Group, along with other bomber and fighter units, created opportunities for ground troops to advance and hold valuable territory, while also knocking out enemy strongholds to improve the ability of ground forces to advance on the enemy. Similarly, in the Pacific, we had fighters and bombers working and shaping the front to hold off hostile forces and strike deep into enemy territory. The ability of long-range bombers to strike the heart of our enemy made them realize the price of war was too great, ultimately leading to their surrender. Taking their lead from veterans of past wars, the reserve men and women of 10th Air Force are warriors of air, space, cyberspace, manning fighters, bombers, helicopters, reconnaissance aircraft, flying satellites and remotely piloted aircraft, conducting search and rescue missions, performing cyber operations to protect our networks and keep them secure. On any given day, nearly 5,000 Air Force reservists are serving in active duty in support of combatant commanders. We serve as a hedge against the risk of a growing gap between warfighting demand and available capacity. Some of our warriors just returned from Central Command Area of Operations, providing close air support to the troops on the ground, while also supporting naval vessels in the sea, striking targets beyond enemy lines, and providing maintenance support to keep those jets in the air. These airmen personify the Air Force core values. They put integrity first every day by making sure the jets were ready to go, never cutting a corner because they knew lives were on the line. They lived service before self by putting their civilian lives and careers and desires on hold, deploying as a reserve force into harm's way for our nation. They epitomize excellence in all they do by completing 100% of missions assigned.
Let me put some numbers behind that. They ensured 906 F-35 flights took place, putting 126 bombs on target, accumulating more than 5,000 combat hours. That, ladies and gentlemen, is what our outstanding veterans do when called upon. We often recognize the men and women who deploy, as we just did, but 10th Air Force also has thousands of citizen airmen making a difference every day in the United States. At Schriever Air Force Base in Colorado, we have citizen airmen of the 310th Space Wing. The unit I spoke about tracing its lineage back to the 310th Bombardment Group, controlling the GPS satellite so you could navigate your way here today. Just as their predecessors shaped the battlefield during World War II, our space operators shaped the battlefield by controlling the ultimate high ground. They control and communicate through satellites, allow precision targeting through GPS, and ensure ground forces are able to maneuver as needed, as the 310th Bomb Group did. Ladies and gentlemen, your 10th Air Force citizen airmen are providing critical tasks to ensure the safety of our nation, and also providing key services to the population as well as local authorities. It is always our pleasure to serve. We would not be able to serve had it not been the example of the sacrifice of the great men and women who came before us. Those pioneers of aviation who took an unproven theory and showed it how it could protect the ground troops and show adversaries the error of their ways. We stand on the shoulders of those who dared to take to the sky and protect the nation that they love. We salute the men of the 310th Bomb Group and the other fighter bomber units of World War II who have shaped the battlefield to ensure the preservation of our way of life. In closing, I would like to remind everyone that to actively remember our nation's heritage and the heroes whose lives were traded for our continued freedom. Remember also our family members, our loved ones, our neighbors, and our friends who share their sacrifice and have lost a loved one. The veteran is an ordinary yet extraordinary human being, a person who has offered some of their lives' most vital years in service to their country and sacrificed their own ambitions so others would not have to sacrifice theirs. It was a calling we would gladly accept over and over again. I thank you for the opportunity to speak about the air power's impact of World War II and the outstanding airmen of 10th Air Force. I hope you all have a great Veterans Day. Thanks.
Thank you, Colonel Snagowski. One more round of applause. Mr. Nguyen joined the Republic of Vietnam Army after the 1968 Tet Offensive, becoming an artillery officer in I Corps. He went to Fort Sill, Oklahoma for advanced training in 1972 and returned to I Corps Artillery Headquarters. He spent 7 years in a communist prison after the fall of Saigon. Mr. Nguyen came to the U.S. in 1992 and serves as a paralegal in a Dallas law firm.
Good morning. We are very proud and happy to be back here, the U.S. Arlington Veteran Park, every year to celebrate the Veteran Day. Ladies and gentlemen, talking about the veterans, today I would like to emphasize on 3 things. Because today we're here to celebrate the 75th anniversary of the Second World War, where and when the U.S. came in and defeat the enemy and we liberate Europe. That is a big achievement ever happened in the world history. Our contribution to the liberation of Europe is the most magnificent, the most important thing happened in the world history. Remember that 1,000 U.S. sailors and servicemen landed on Normandy in Paris, near Paris, to land on the land of France. and we come up and fight and suffer a lot of casualty during the war. But finally, with our intervention to the war, the U.S. helped Europe and all the countries to win the war, win the Second World War. Then, the Vietnam War, very important. So today I want to take this time to repeat some facts about that. And we said that the friendship must be tried, must be challenged over the years. The Vietnam War lasted 25 years, or 20 years. And most of the U.S. servicemen have served in the Vietnam War a couple of times, a couple of tours. But we, as the ARVN soldier, we served the war over to the end of the day. That's over 25 years. That's the longest war. So, because the U.S. present in Vietnam for a long time and involved a lot of operation, a lot of front. So the friendship between the ARVN soldier and the American soldier is very close. So far, it still continues to be existing to today. And today, I would like to invite all the South Vietnamese ARVN. Would you stand up? That my colleagues, they also work side by side with the U.S. servicemen in Vietnam over 20 years. And asserting that after the fall of Saigon, all of them were kept in prisoner of war in North Vietnam, in South Vietnam, for at least 5 years to 17 years, like in Colonel Hill right here. Thank you. Now, we continue the heritage of the veteran in Vietnam War, or all the war. I would like to emphasize the fact that today, the Vietnamese American community in the United States, we contributed a lot of things to the U.S. Armed Forces. I can see to you now, we have 5 generals. 3 people are the second generation of the Vietnamese ARVN veteran. First of all, General Lương Xuân Việt, U.S. Army. General Lập Thể Flora, National Guard. Rear Admiral Nguyễn Tử Huấn, U.S. Navy. 4, General William Seeley, U.S. Marine. The 5th, General John Edward, U.S. Air Force. And now, all the generation later on, they continue to join U.S. militaries in different kinds of activity. And we are so proud that the fighting spirit in our lives, it continue to rise in America, and we're very happy to serve in the U.S. military. And I would like to remember one more thing about the city of Arlington, where we had a very beautiful landscape for the Vietnamese American Memorial Monument. You look behind you or in front of you. That happened 5 years ago. Without the initiation of the good people with good compassion, generosity to build that monument. If in Washington we had the Black Wall, were built in the Veterans Day in 1982, we call that the Black Maple Wall or the Healing Wall, because the Vietnam War caused a lot of division in the U.S. society. So that helped. In fact, that helped. And later, very recently, we saw that wall were brought into that area for the people to view. Okay, and everybody who come there, we feel relieved. And we will never forget the contribution of U.S. servicemen. The last thing I would like to emphasize the sacrifice the U.S. servicemen in Vietnam. I know some of you are the next generation of the Vietnam War. It's not right in the war. But to those who served in Vietnam War, you know a lot of things. And you know, in fact, we are, the Vietnamese, we witnessed the suffering, the sacrifice of U.S. servicemen in Vietnam, especially in the Tet Offensive in Hue. You know that Hue City in the old citadel, the old capital of Vietnam, the most beautiful place. And we all honor the old city. And during the Tet Offensive, the North Vietnamese Army, they betrayed the truth between two sides, the South and the North, about the war. But they violated the truth. And they assaulted and took over the city of Hue for 26 days. You know that every war happened, and the battlefield usually happened a couple of days, 3 days or 5 days, or a week maximum. But the war fight in Hue 26 days. And by the book and by the documentary I have, the U.S. servicemen, the Marine Corps, especially stationed in Phu Bai. Phu Bai is an Air Force base in the south of Hue. And 2 battalions of Marine Corps from Phu Bai come to rescue Hue. And our side, the Vietnamese Army, on the right, on the north side of the Bờ Phim River. And we fought together for 26 days. After we liberate Hue and put our flag, the Vietnamese flag you saw today, on the Imperial Palace. So, the casualty, I just say something so we can remember the sacrifice, the really suffering of the U.S. Armed Forces in Vietnam to liberate the city of Hue during that time. That is a great thing. And all the Vietnamese people at that time must owe American soldiers a great deal about the liberation, about the food, about the medevac, and all the other things. And right at the battle, I know that on our U.S. side, we lost 150 soldiers from the Marine Corps. And our side, the ARVN, we lost 2,700 soldiers. And the North Vietnamese, they had to withdraw away, and they had to dig a large graveyard to bury the dead people, the dead soldiers. And after return from Hue, the North Vietnamese, they killed, you know how much? 5,000 people, civilian, children, and everybody in Hue, who they thought maybe loyal to the South Vietnamese government. That's a very sad thing that this time I want to repeat. So I want to remind people to remember that we are people who witnessed, who fought side by side with U.S. servicemen in Vietnam, and we know how you suffer and how hard you work to help South Vietnam over 20 years. Now, the war over 20 years, and now, today, I heard a lot of officers from Vietnam, or not from Vietnam, but you talk about sacrifice of the U.S. servicemen. We, as a veteran in the U.S., in Darfur right now, we say one thing, last but not least. We would like to let you know that we have an organization, we call it U.S. Army Volunteer, comprised of all the ARVN veterans and some American veterans. We work together, U.S. Army Volunteer. We provide help to veteran families who need, like we can help you have a final funeral service for the foreign soldier, for the veteran, for each able soldier. That's all we want to do. So we say our group are people, the veteran in action. Okay, always in action. That's the thing. So I would like to invite all the members of that group to stand up. We invite Colonel Hill to stand up. Johnny Stanley, Lieutenant Colonel. Như, Lieutenant Colonel. Cảnh Dương, Major. Okay. And Shi Pham, Lieutenant Colonel. Thank you very much. So, that's all we want to share today. I'm sorry that I take you so much time, but I think that's something I need to say. Okay, so my heart will feel better. Thank you.
All right, we're going to play all the service anthems, so when we get to yours, feel free to stand up and give us a whoop. I know I can count on the Marines, but the rest of you can participate also. First, we'll have the United States Army. First to fight for the right and to build the nation's might as the Army goes rolling along. Proud of all we have done, fighting till the battle's won, and the Army goes rolling along. Then it's hi, hi, hey, the Army's on its way. Count out the cadence, sound it strong. For where'er we go, we will always know that the Army goes rolling. Coast Guard. We're always ready for the call. We place our trust in thee. Through howling gale and shot and shell to win our victory. Semper Paratus is our guide, our pledge, our motto too. We're always ready, do or die. Coast Guard, we fight for you. How about the Air Force? Off we go into the wild blue yonder, climbing high into the sun. Here they come, zooming to beat our thunder. At 'em boys, give 'em the gun. Down we dive, spouting our flame from under. Off with one hell of a roar. Where we live and play, or go down in flame, nothing will stop the U.S. Air Force. How about the Navy? Anchors away, my boys, anchors away. Farewell to college joys, we sail at break of day. Oh, our last night on shore, ring to the phone. Until we meet once more, here's wishing you a happy boys home. Marine Corps! From the halls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli, we will fight our country's battles in the air, on land and sea. Thirst to fight for right and freedom and to keep our honor clean. We are proud to claim the title of United States Marine. Thank you for your service.
Our closing prayer is by Chaplain Rich Stoglin, Commander, USC Services, Fleet Marine Forces, retired.
Thank you, Colonel. The stole that I have was presented to me in Afghanistan when I was the command chaplain of 39 nations of the world and the senior military advisor to a senior general of the Afghan National Army. Let us pray. Divine Parent, we have assembled on this sacred patch of soil to recall those veterans and their families who thus far have talked so little, but have sacrificed so much, and for so many. Indeed, the echoes of the freedoms of this society enjoys are examples of how the legacy of moral courage and focused determination have sustained those realities. Therefore, push us, God, to understand how paramount it is in this society during this time of confusion and uncertainty about tomorrow, that with your divine guidance and our human cooperation, clarity will arise. Help us, God, to embrace the idea in matters of style, swim with the current. In matters of principles, stand like a rock, even when it's not popular. Thus, Jeremiah the prophet was correct when he declared, "We sorrow not for those who have no hope." This is why it's imperative for our daily vernacular to concretize with our daily actions to include, to know God is to do justice. To do otherwise, this allows us from converting thick rhetoric into thick action. And to this, God, none of us, for such a time as this, can afford to neglect our moral compass. So we pray for those who act as responsible guardians of our local communities, even when the duties they perform are not always acknowledged or appreciated. And lest we forget, those who are in harm's way, a long ways from home. So we pray for those who streak across the turbulent skies, move underneath the forceful oceans, march on the hot, sandy desert floors, and survive in the dense jungles of the world. Be with them, God. Be with their families as they look through the windows of anticipation of their loved one's safe return home. Help them and us to remember, no matter what, hope is our strongest weapon. To God be the glory. Amen. With that, veterans, prepare for taps.